We need to be very careful with Miss Bradley. To say that she has anger issues would be a gross understatement.
So, David, I'm really stoked to be talking with you because, first of all, I'm a huge fan of the Redwood Massacre movies. I absolutely love this.
Oh my God, I found the only fan, finally.
But I will say I Am Rage was probably one of the best action movies I saw this year. And I like a lot of these like popcorn exploitation feel type films. And this movie really took the cake. I watched it yesterday and I enjoyed every minute of it. It was such a fantastic movie.
Well, firstly, that's a relief. We've not had any feedback on the movie. That's the first I've heard someone's actually enjoyed it. So I'm always just a little bit worried. Has it worked or not?
Yeah, I mean, this is right up my alley. I grew up watching these like exploitation feel action flicks, so it's like this was exactly what I was hoping would come out, and I was like, amazing. The fight scenes were amazing. The story, even the story alone, was amazing on the protagonist. I mean, just to see that. So, how did this idea come about?
It was before COVID. It was actually just by chance. We were meant to shoot another movie and it fell through because of COVID. And just by chance, one of the producers offered us an idea of doing an action film. And like you said, I normally do horror movies. So this was like a good opportunity for me. Try something different. And yeah, it was just one of those weird things, where you're making movies, one project closes down and then another one kind of opens up, I guess.
Yeah, well, you definitely have a knack for action, and I noticed your co-writer was Stephen Durham, who did an awesome movie called Army of One, which I got to see, and
that's right, yeah.
And Ellen Holman, the star of the movie, I got to interview her about it, and she did such a phenomenal job on this one. And in this one, we have Hannah Bendz, who this is the first time I've heard of her, but I've seen she had quite a stellar filmography. But this one, she really gets to show off her skills in this, and
yeah, for sure,
how well she handled the action. I mean, she's just amazing in this movie.
Yeah, it was when they said they wanted to do an action movie, I kind of pushed the martial arts angle because it's an independent movie, so really there's not much. Once you paid for a production, there's not much to put in front of the camera by the time you paid like actors, locations, blah blah blah. So we thought martial arts would be the way to go for a kind of movie like this. So casting Hannah was really the hardest thing, to find someone that could do martial arts and also act. Believe it or not, it's quite a small niche in the UK. So we were really relieved when we found Hannah. And like you said, she was in the movie, the whole movie. It was a hard shoot for her in the cold Scottish winter. It might kind of look kind of sunny and nice, but behind the scenes, it was snowing, raining. It was quite a horrible, tough experience for her, I can imagine.
Yeah, and but she definitely handled it with the fight scenes. I mean, Chris Torres, I saw his name, and I know him because I've seen him do all these other stunts and acting, and he did a great job getting to showcase Hannah's skills in this movie.
Yeah, he was really one of the saviors for the movie, because obviously I'll call it a martial arts film, I guess, but it kind of lives or dies by the stunt. I can never say the word choreography. Choreography. And I was quite vague. My remit to him was like, have you seen Hard Target? I wanted the martial arts to be quite hyper realistic, quite over the top, the kind of movie you watch where there's no real reason she does martial arts. It just kind of looks cool and kind of fit in with the weird story that ended up being I Am Rage.
Yeah, which I really found. It felt like partly it was a horror movie because the villains are a cult who are into blood. I mean, that's like the horror element.
Yeah,
and because
one of the
and I find it interesting. Yeah, because it's adrenaline that's the cause of it, and I find that fascinating.
Yeah, one of the big things while we were shooting the movie was the producers were worried I was going back to horror, because I've done like 5 horror movies. And I think subconsciously there is a couple of scenes in this movie you could argue should maybe be in a horror movie. but we based it around adrenochrome. And at the time, it was just like a quite vague conspiracy theory. And now, obviously, you've got this movie called The Sound of Freedom come out, which is going on about adrenochrome and all this stuff. And I'm like, oh my god, you know. So we just try to put an interesting take on a tired formula, I guess. So I'm kind of like, adrenochrome is now like the talk of the town, when I just put it in as a throwaway to a conspiracy theory, I guess.
Yeah, and what I like, as I mentioned, the backstory with Hannah's character Erin was just insane when it's revealed like why she's going through so much, why she, you know, once her thing beeps, she has to take that medication or forget it. It's done, you know. And
Yeah.
I think that's like the trigger for her, what she did, and that probably propelled her to want to learn martial arts. Kind of like the way Old Boy was, where he's stuck in this box, stuck in a room for 20 years, and he teaches himself how to fight. I feel like subconsciously, there, you know, it's the same thing with her. She learned how to fight during this abduction.
I'm glad you kind of picked that up, because my whole argument was hopefully the audience just fill in the gaps. You know, kind of you set up like a horrible story to introduce her character, and then not go too far into it. And then let, you know, people that watch kind of, just like you said, fill in the gaps. She probably would have in real life trained, so this would never happen to her again.
Yeah, and kudos goes to Marta as the lead villain, Margaret. I mean, I know she's more of a voiceover actress in video games and stuff, and but here I think this is like probably one of her first major roles, like in front of the screens, and she did such a phenomenal job. She didn't go too over the top, and then, you know, she was totally a badass villain. You know, she was that mastermind until she has the fight against Hannah, and she held her own as well. I mean, kudos to her on that one.
Yeah, I mean, I even said to Marta when we're cutting the movie, even though the audience will know you're going to lose the final fight, the way she's played it, you almost think she could possibly still win, which is a testament to how she did it. I mean, I painted her more like a cartoon baddie, and she kind of honed it down, which I'm glad, because without, you know, well, you know, you watch a lot of movies, the baddie has to be good enough that people want her to be defeated. So yeah, I thought she did a great job in this movie.
Yeah, and there was a build-up too as well. You know, like I said, she's the mastermind behind it, but then, you know, we finally get to see her throw down at the end, which I think works because it kind of builds that tension between her and Erin. And then, you know, lo and behold, you also have Antonia, who did a great job, as you think she'd be the damsel in distress, but then she gains the confidence as the film goes on, like to help Erin at this time.
Yeah.
Need.
Yeah. I was saying to someone else, I can't remember a movie where there's like a classic end fight, like from the 90s or 80s, that involves two strong women, which I thought was quite interesting when they pitched this movie. So I'm glad you liked it, and my fingers are crossed that it plays well with other audiences. That's for sure.
I think the last time he did something like that was in the Hong Kong era. You know, they had the girls with guns.
Yeah,
that's where you had the two strong women fight each other at the end. You know, during the late 80s and early 90s, you had like those characters, the cop versus like the gangster. You know, but they're both female and they both like know martial arts, and they fight at the end. I think that's the last time we saw anything like that, was during that.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah. We were trying to think back, because I'm like 42. I'm an old guy now, but
I'm
I used to
older.
watch all the. Oh yeah. Well, you know, like our generation of movies back then, the like 80s, 90s, it did have that kind of. They always followed a specific formula, you know, with this kind of movies, and we couldn't really think back to any that was like just women.
Yeah.
So we're glad we got to do it with mostly just a woman lead cast, which I think, you know, hopefully works for the film and kind of sets it apart, I guess, from the normal men fighting movies.
Yeah, exactly. And I hope people do get to see this. I mean, I've mentioned this so many times. We need more female action heroes now, because, you know, we got a few of them coming up and coming, and then we have the Hollywood actors who are just training for the film, and then just like, that's it. You know, they do the one and done, but we need more.
Yeah.
We need more like
Hannah, you're right.
and Amy Johnston, to name a few. You know, we need those people to like kind of bring back the female action hero.
Yeah.
And I think hopefully this will help do that.
I hope so. I hope. I hope. Yeah, I really do hope. Yeah.
So finally, what's next for you after I Am Rage is out? All right, I will ask this. Are you going to do another Redwood Massacre movie down the road?
I did the second one with Danielle Harris, and for whatever reason, it didn't really quite hit. Like even today, some people don't know that movie exists.
Yeah.
So we had a third one, and we were going to bring Daniel back for the third one, and because the numbers weren't so great, it kind of just died a death. And I think the way like independent cinema's going, the horror genre is just saturated. So I just don't know if there will ever be a Redwood Massacre 3. I'd like there to be, but it seems the direction now is action movies. Seems to be that's where the push is. So I mean, I'm happy to just go with the flow, as they say.
Maybe you'll do. I would be honest with you. The way this movie ended, I would love to see Aaron come back for a second movie.
Yeah, well, I mean, we've got an idea for a second movie, and again, it just depends if the movie does well, I guess, to justify it for the producers and that. But funnily enough, our distributor and our producer have a meeting tonight about another action movie. Hopefully, we'll be shooting quite soon.
I Am Rage will be coming August 1st. And
August 1st.
Those who love female action films, those who want to see a great female action hero, Hannah Bendz is going to be one of the next female action heroes, because this movie just takes the cake. The fight scenes are great. And David, thank you so much again for taking the time to talk about it.
No, thank you. Thank you.
All right. Well, I hope the movie's a hit. And